Hi, I'm Elaine and welcome to my kitchen. I'm going to be making buttermilk biscuits today. I've already got my oven preheating to 400 degrees. But let me give you a list of the ingredients first. It's going to be 2.5 cups of self-rising flour, 7 ounces of lard or shortening, butter, whatever fat you want to use, and anywhere between 1.5 to 2 cups of buttermilk. And I'm fixing to start measuring out my ingredients for you. Okay, it's going to take 2.5 cups of flour. I use self-rising flour. If you want to use a scale, it's going to be 20 ounces of flour. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started with that. I do want to give a shout out to 3 people. One is the squirrel, I squirrel. The other one is possum, I possum. And last but not least is Ward. And all 3 have mentioned my biscuits. Possum and squirrel have asked me how I make them. And I know Ward likes eating them, so give a shout out to y'all. Okay, I've got my flour. Next, I'm going to measure out my 7 ounces of shortening. Okay. Turn my scale on. There. If I can mash the right button. Okay, put my little bowl on here. Tear that out to 0. If you don't have a kitchen scale and you still want to use it, 7 ounces is equivalent to 3/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons. It's just easier on me to measure it out by weight. And when you see this, it's going to look like a lot of shortening or lard. About halfway there. Getting there. We're at 7 ounces. As I said, that is a lot of shortening. Trusty paper towel, wipe that off. Okay. Now I'm going to put all this in there. Now, however you do this is up to you. I was taught to use my hand. I made biscuits at Hardee's back in the early 90s. I did that for several years. Mixed it up with my hand. So if you have a pastry blender, and if you don't know what that is, I'll try to insert a picture of one. Or you can use a fork, or if you want to try using a spoon, entirely up to you. Like I said, I use my hand. So please don't get grossed out. I did wash my hands before I started. This will take a few minutes. And you want to make sure that the consistency of the shortening or lard or butter or whatever fats that you're using is maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch, a little bigger pea size. And the reason you want to do that is because when that melts, it puts little pockets It makes the flaky part of your biscuit. And if you're wondering where I got my recipe, I told you I worked at Hardee's. That was a long time ago. So I devised my own recipe off of working from theirs. They use different things than what I use. But I had to make a recipe for myself. And I can tell you right now, first time you make biscuits, they may or may not turn out right. I started cooking biscuits when I was, I want to say 10 years old. Very first biscuits I ever made. Prettiest biscuits I ever made. Brown, they rose up, they were round, gorgeous. It's just they were so hard you could literally knock a dog out, or probably use them for hockey pucks or shot put, shot put, whatever you want to call it. I know my mom and daddy tried to eat them. Couldn't eat them, so Mama threw it out the door and knocked some bark off the tree. They were that hard. But I didn't give up. And when I got with my husband, I started making biscuits again. And I can honestly say they weren't the best. But after 8 years of making them more often than not, they've turned out a little bit better. Okay, let's just see that right there. You can see it. I got some that's still chunked. That's about what you want it to look like a really chunky, coarse cornmeal. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is add my buttermilk. Now I have 1 3/4 cups of buttermilk in here. I don't know that I'm going to use all of it. And if I need to add a little more, I will. But I'm only going to pour part of it. Leave a little bit. It's better to not have enough and have to add a little than to have too much. Because then your dough is going to be extremely wet. I think that's probably all I'm going to have to use right there. And I might have used just a titch too much. I'll show you a trick to that. That's called adding just a touch of flour. Okay. You want your flour to kind of come together. And your dough to come together. Now, I'm going to finish cleaning off my fingers. Wash my hands, and I'll be right back to show you about rolling out the dough and how I do that, cutting out my biscuits. Okay, I'm back from washing my hands, getting the table cleared off here. Okay, I'm going to show you how I roll out my biscuits now. I take a little bit of my flour, and if you're wondering what I've got here, this is, believe it or not, a Dollar Tree cutting board that I have had for about 15-20 years or better. And the only thing I do with it is use it to roll my dough out on, whether it be my biscuits, pie dough, pizza dough, whatever. Alright, as you'll see, I've got my hand a little bit floured up. And I'm going to take and scrape out my dough here. Yeah, that's what I was going to use, that little spatula there for, but I'm so used to using my hands to do this. I can't remember. You probably heard knocking on the door there. That was my kitty cat. One of them. Just have to excuse her for a minute. Pause that just a second and I'll wash my hand again. Alright, got my hand cleaned up right there. Right, as you can see, I've got my dough on my little sheet here. Got a little bit of flour. Just sprinkle across the top. Then I'm going to pat it down. The one thing you don't see on my table is a dough roller. Or a rolling pin, whatever you want to call it. I do have one. I just don't use it for this. If you see me using a rolling pin, it means I'm probably either rolling out pizza dough or I'm rolling out pie dough. As you see, I pat this out with my hand. And I'll pat it out till it's about maybe 1/2 inch thick or better. Maybe most of between 1/2 and 5/8, something like that. And I'll take and I'll fold it in from the sides. Fold it down. Fold the top. Fold it over, make a little package. And I will do this about 3, 4, 5 times. And I rotate it each time I do that. And this actually helps my biscuits turn out flakier, if you like flaky biscuits. That. Right there. Okay. That. This will be the last flattening of it, and then I'll start cutting out the biscuits. How you cut your biscuits is entirely up to you. You can cut them with a biscuit cutter. You can use a cookie cutter if you want to. I use the ring to a mason jar. Just a regular jar. I've got some for wide mouth. If you want a bigger biscuit, use one for the wide mouth jars. If you don't want to use a biscuit cutter or one of these, you can use a knife. You can use a pizza cutter. I've done both. You know, it depends on what kind of mood you're in and what kind of biscuits you're looking for. If you don't mind your biscuits being a little bit square, pizza cutters work. Knife works. But just for purposes today, I'm going to do round biscuits. So I'm going to start cutting these out. And I've got the pan right here that I'm going to put them on. Now, depending on your pan, you might have to spray your pan or put a little grease or butter on it to make the biscuits not stick. This one right here is the season. My biscuits rarely stick to it, so I'm not going to do anything to it. Just stick my biscuits on there. What I didn't tell you is this should give you about 12 biscuits for this recipe. I'm not going to guarantee 12. Sometimes I get 9, sometimes I get 10. Just depends on how thick I press my dough out and how it turns out. And I do have a problem with them sticking in there a little bit, as you can tell. For some reason it not want to come out. Put a little bit of flour right here. Help it a little bit. If you wonder what I plan on doing with this little bit of extra dough here, I'm going to re-roll this stuff. I don't waste dough. And we might get 12 biscuits out of this today. As you can see, I just kind of mix it back together. Put a little flour in there. going to be 12 biscuits, but one of them's going to be really small. That'll be the baby biscuit. Okay. Got those done. So what I'll do now is I'm going to put these in the oven and I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes. Depending on the oven, I would say bake between 12 to 15 biscuits. Or 12 to 15 minutes, excuse me. My husband's making me laugh over here.
Happy guinea pig, num-nums.
But, yeah, try 12 to 15 minutes on the biscuits and check them if they're done in the middle and golden brown on top, and they're done. I just know that this oven I have here, it takes between 18 to 20 minutes for them to cook. Now I have another little oven that I use, it takes 12 minutes, but I'm not using that one today. So, just going to put these in here. Okay. Alright, got those in the oven, I'll be back when they get ready to come out. My biscuits are ready to come out of the oven now. Stop that. Alright, there they are. This towel set. Now this is an option. You can do it if you want to. If you don't want to, that's brushing them with some butter. Maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons of melted butter. I tend to go toward 3 tablespoons myself because we like the butter. Alright. And just brush the tops and the sides.
Oh my!
Yeah, that'd be the happy guinea pig in the background there talking. If anybody's wondering who the happy guinea pig is, that's my hubby. Some of y'all watching this might know who he is, but for those of you who don't, for his anonymity, I just call him the happy guinea pig or the hubby. Alright. Make sure these biscuits are brushed down really good. Okay, set that aside. Now comes the best part. This is when you take one, put it on your plate, open it up, see that steam rising. That's going to be good. Take a bite. That's good. You want to try about happy guinea pig?
Num-nums.
Alright, I guess I got 2 thumbs up there from the happy guinea pig. Well, let me put my biscuits in my bowl here. And I hope you enjoy the biscuits as much as we do. Thank y'all for watching my channel. Thank you for watching my video. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, comment, and share the video. You never know, there might be friends of yours who'd like to know how to make biscuits. So, from my kitchen to yours, have a great day. Bye, y'all. Bye, y'all.
We're not going.